What is happening, guys? Welcome back to another Real Talk episode. Today we are going to be talking about 12.5-inch Supremacy. This right here is the Geisley Super Duty. I'll take it off the stand just so you guys can see the entire thing in all of its beauty, all of its glory. But we do have a full review on this thing that just came out not too long ago. So go ahead and check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Talking about the 12.5 Geisley Super Duty upper right here, which was provided to us by the channel for full disclosure by our friends over at Brownells. And those guys are the biggest sponsor of the channel. So if you guys do want to support the channel, please head on over to brownells.com using the links in the description. I can't really talk about all that good stuff here on YouTube, but you guys want to support the channel, merch, all that good stuff. All my links, all my codes are down there in the campsite bio below. So thank you to all of you who head over there and use my codes. Now, don't buy anything you don't need. Don't give in to the endless consumerism. We're actually going to talk about it today, kind of why the 12.5 Supremacy, I'm not going to say it's a fad, but for me, it's a bit of an over-exaggeration for like you need the 12.5, right? And we're going to talk about that a little bit here today. So we got the Garmin out. We're going to talk about some chronograph information, which is for me the biggest determining factor between these three 11.5 uppers that I have right here to my left. And we're going to pull those out and kind of show those off and talk about them a little bit. But I guess with that being said, let's just dive right into it. What do you guys think about a 12.5? Is it the Goldilocks length? Is it 13.7? Is it 12.7 like LWRC? Or is it 11.5? Or is it some weirdo intermediate length? I don't know. It's up to you guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. But we're going to talk about it. So first and foremost, this upper receiver group from Geisley gets a lot of hate from the general audience, a lot of which are Geisley fans, because this has a carbine length gas system. So the gas block is right here. So this is a carbine length gas system, much like the old M4s with the fixed front sight post. It's a longer dwell time, so increased reliability, but also increased gas and recoil and all that good stuff. Now, I didn't see any substantial amount. I didn't think this thing was extremely gassy or extremely heavy on the recoil. Maybe I'm just used to shooting Mark 18s, I don't know. But I'm running an H2 buffer in here, not even an H3, which it's recommended to be shot with, and they're braided buffer wire spring as well. And I think it shoots phenomenally well. And you could see, if you go watch the review on this guy, you could see in the FRT mode, in that force reset trigger mode, you actually, I mean, it shoots like a sewing machine. Yeah, it's ejecting a little bit forward between 2 and 3 o'clock. Most of the time when the gun got hot, it started to eject further forward, which is pretty normal for any MG or FRT style DI gun. But again, a lot of people hate on this thing because it doesn't have a mid-length gas system. So first and foremost, I didn't really notice it being incredibly gassy or incredibly hard hitting or high recoil. It shot pretty well in my experience from what I could feel and from all the experience I have shooting different DI uppers. So let's just get that out of the way. But the number one reason I was interested in the 12.5 was for the velocity increase. Now, we made a video, our 11.5 Supremacy video has done very well on the channel, and the main point of that topic was, if you want a 5.56 gun to take you from 0 to 500 yards, 11.5 is all you need. And I stand by that, right? But I wanted to go to the 12.5 to see if I can get even better ballistics out of the same caliber, being 5.56, while only adding 1 inch to the rifle, right? 1 inch to the platform. And if you're going to run it primarily suppressed, which is again is another reason people don't like the carbine length gas system, because you are probably going to run a 12.5 100% suppressed. So why not make it a mid-length gas system, give you enough back pressure, yada yada. I'm already over that topic. It's really kind of boring to me, honestly. But okay, fair enough. Why not go to a 12.5 and be able to get even more accurate hits out to distance, maybe push out to 600 yards? The wind's gonna get bullied around less if it's got increased, the higher velocity is, the less it gets affected by the wind, the less drop there is. I probably should have put this in my ballistic calculator to see what the difference in drop is based off the velocities that I got. But essentially, this thing didn't get that much better velocity out of the 2 ammo types that I shot. So full disclosure, didn't shoot a ton of different ammos, but I shot 2 different ammo types, and out of those 2 that I shot, it didn't get a ton more velocity. It was the 77 grain AAC OTMs and some Monarch 55 grain brass. So pretty much the 2 types of ammo that I constantly shoot. Some other people may be different, but pretty much if I'm mag dumping or I mean, really that 77 grain AAC ammo is so cheap. I think it's on sale right now for 50 cents a round, that it is cheaper than I can even buy FMJ from like Academy. So it feels kind of wasteful to mag dump that, because it's pretty accurate for the price. It's incredibly accurate, but it's about as cheap as it gets for wanting to stockpile, accurate ammo. Actually, in fact, for the lot of Black Hills ammunition I was running, this 223 77 grain Black Hills ammo was actually way worse on the chronograph, way less consistent than the AAC 77 grain. If that's a video you guys want to see, let me know, but that's real life facts. I tested it. I didn't test it with like 40 rounds or 50 rounds, but in a 10 round group for each, the AAC was actually much more consistent and much more accurate through my gun as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. This is I guess a little bit of a misleading title because I still think the 11.5 reigns supreme. Again, because the only reason I am interested in going up to a 12.5 is because of the increased velocity, not because of the increased dwell time. I guess if there's still some reasons you might want a 12.5. Obviously, rail space. There's going to be a little bit more rail space on this guy comparatively to the 11.5 that you see right here. So if we line up the back of the Mark 16 rail, you can see again, it's about an inch of extra rail you get on the 12.5. So if it's important for you, if you're running an IR laser, or if you're running a clip-on thermal, clip-on night vision device, you know, that might matter to you. But longer dwell time, that might matter to you. But the gas port sizes are adjusted and sized differently on the 12.5 than it is on the 11.5, obviously, because of those differences in dwell time. But again, I wasn't running the right buffer tube and spring back here. But essentially, the chronograph destroyed all my hopes and dreams. This gun feels incredibly balanced. It feels still extremely well, like lightweight, maneuverable, really well balanced front to back, you know, easy to maneuver, high ready, low ready. Everything about it felt great, but it just didn't give me the velocity performance I was expecting. In fact, I think the actual velocity numbers were like 59 feet per second on the 77 grain of an increase from the 11.5 to 12.5, and then only an increase of like 40 feet per second with the 55 grain. And let's just talk about that because that is the main point of this video. So I did a 10 round group with the 77 grain AAC OTMs through this 12.5 Geisley right here. And out of that 10 round group, the minimum FPS was 25.15 and the maximum was 2556, easy number to remember. And then the average was 2539 with an extreme spread of 40.4 FPS and a standard deviation of 12.5. Just so you guys know, okay? Because it's actually pretty good quality ammo, although I think their customer service could use some improvement. That's a conversation for another day. Let's go back to the 11.5 now, and let's look at this group from the 11.5 with the 77 grain OTM AAC. And this guy has a minimum velocity of 24.55, a maximum of 25.04, and an average of 24.81. So 24.81, I already forgot what the average of the other one was. 24.81 versus an average of 25.39. So 24.81 minus 25.39, and there's your difference. Let's do that real quick. Sorry, gentlemen. My mental math is struggling on camera. 24.81 minus 25.39. So yeah, 58 feet per second is the difference between this guy right here, 11.5 Super Duty upper, and the 12.5 Super Duty upper. Again, this has the same exact can on it, so if I line these up based off the handguard here, you could see it's literally just 1 extra inch shorter. And is it going to make a huge difference? I would say probably not, unless it's very important to you or unless somebody out there knows more than I do, which is very well possible, about reloading and different grain weights. Maybe a 62 grain or 69 grain would have a bigger difference. But again, I expected the 55 grain to actually have a larger spread. Like it would be going much faster out of the 12.5 than it would be out of the 11.5. I expected at least 100 FPS difference. And that's where the Garmin chronograph kind of comes in here and just destroys dreams. So again, I don't really see the benefit of going up for that extra inch unless there's other things that you want to factor in. For me, it was mostly about velocity. For me, it was about being able to reach out even further. And don't get me wrong, that 58 FPS is going to equate to some difference. Now, what is that difference exactly? Someone could let me know down in the comments. If you have your ballistic calculator out, let me know and I'll pin your comment. What is the difference in drop in 58 feet per second, right? How much is that going to drop at 500 yards? What's the difference? And again, going back to the original argument when I was talking about the 11.5 supremacy, in that video we talked about, yeah, the bullet's going to have more drop out of an 11.5 than a 14.5, but it's going to drop consistently if you have good ammo with good standard deviation, so on and so forth. So again, the same argument applies here, even more so because the velocity difference is even less. So somebody let me know down in the comments what that drop would be in mils or in inches, whatever you want to do, and I'll pin your comment up at the top because I think it's important to note. And I might even do it myself once this video stops recording, but I don't want to spend 5 minutes punching in that information on my ballistic calculator. But What I will tell you guys, since we're talking about 12.5 and I would probably crush a lot of people's dreams, I'll tell you guys what my holds are with this optic, this setup currently with the 77 grain, because I have a little bit of dope, and it's not, don't take this and etch this in stone, but it's my rough notes for what my holds are with this upper and that ammo. So let's see here, 12.5 Geisley Super Duty upper. So I have 100 yard zero on the EOTech Voodoo. 1 to 10, so at 195, pretty much dead on. You're probably like an inch low. At 256 yards, we're holding 1 mil. At 375 yards, we're holding 2 mils. At 487 yards, we're holding 4 mils. And at 588 yards, we're holding 5.25 mils. So I mean, that's a decent amount of drop for 580, almost 600 yards. They call it 5 and 3, 5 and 5.4, 5.3 at 600 yards. But we were able to shoot this thing out to 600 yards. So take that for what it's worth with a grain of salt. I still think you'd be able to get this thing out to 600 yards as well. Maybe a little bit less consistently. But again, I was very underwhelmed with the velocity increase. That's what this whole video is about. Like, don't get me wrong. This is still kitted out as my go-to war gun. This is my nightstand gun. But time will tell, and I'll have to do a little bit of back and forth, like shooting this one directly after shooting the 11.5 to see if there really is enough of a difference going back down to the 11.5, weighing them, things like that when they're stripped, and just kind of determining between the two which one's going to be the go-to. What's going to remain, either this is going to remain the go-to, or if the 11.5 is going to take its throne back, on the throne. Now, I have become kind of the 11.5 guy, I guess, because I have this Sig Spear LT 5.56. That's an 11.5. This is my SBR LT 11.5 5.56. I have the Super Duty, obviously. For full disclosure, Geisley did send me this 11.5 Super Duty upper. This one was sent by Brownells. So again, big shout out to Geisley and Brownells for all the support. If you guys want to support the channel, you know how to do it. And then we have also the CAC Industries 11.5 that you see right here. This is their deep fluted H-bar profile stainless steel with a 1 in 5 twist. Again, I've kind of become the 11.5 guy. And there's also one more 11.5 I have that's a chopped down Daniel Defense barrel. Excuse me, it's their 14.5 inch SOCOM barrel that got chopped down by D. Wilson Manufacturing to 11.5. And that was my first 11.5 actually. So I have a lot of experience shooting 11.5s now. I do still believe, again, I might put my foot in my mouth, but I'm going to shoot them back to back, try them out a little bit, see how the 11.5 runs with the FRT trigger as well, and make my decision after that. I'm not saying I made a decision. I'm just saying the main decision for me going to the 12.5 has kind of been thrown out the window in my opinion, because 58 feet per second is not that big of a difference. Now, again, somebody let me know what the drop is in inches at 500 yards. That would be something I'm very interested in hearing about. And somebody who's more into reloading and ballistic performance, let me know. Now, some interesting, again, one of the coolest things I learned from SHOT Show was the peak alloy from Federal. And that would just take this whole game of inches that we're playing here from 10.3, 11.5, 12.5, 12.7, 13.7, so on and so forth. It would just throw it out the window, because that peak alloy is able to push out of the same barrel length the lead so much faster than a traditional brass case cartridge, which is incredible. Again, Bill Geisley did a video shooting one after another, chronoing it, showing the chronograph information, and then it doesn't increase the recoil, it does not increase the wear and tear on your parts. It's the same everything besides the bullets moving much faster. So I think he was getting like on average like 250 to 300 extra FPS out of the same barrel length. I think he was running on a 14.5. I'm not exactly 100% sure. But again, we're going to continue testing. Maybe we'll do a full length. If some of you guys would like to see a full length review showing footage side by side of the 12.5 versus the 11.5 on gassing, I mean, the accuracy is pretty much the same. They're both very close or capable of sub-inch groups. Maybe not with me as a shooter, maybe not with the ammo I'm running, but I have shot sub-inch groups with this Super Duty 11.5, and I've gotten very, very close groups with the 12.5. Again, on the certain days I'm shooting, I'm not shooting. I'm an average shooter. Let's just put it that way. I put a lot of rounds on range. I do my best to group, but take it with a grain of salt, okay? And I'm only grouping it with the AAC ammo because it's all I can really afford to shoot these high round count reviews with. So they're very accurate uppers. If you guys want to see a review on the 11.5 specifically versus the 12.5 and not just a real talk, not just me just talking about it, we have the chronograph information, but maybe we can do a larger spread of ammo, different ammo types, different brands, different grain weights. If you guys want to see that, let me know down in the comments. But yeah, I mean, that's something I'm interested in doing myself, just to know like which one is going to be my go-to 5.56 gun for moving forward, because I'm still on the fence a little bit about it. This 12.5 really does have a special place in my heart. I love that it has that little bit of extra dwell time for the reliability. Geisley is sending me a H3 buffer and a braided wire buffer spring to replace this braided wire buffer spring and H2 buffer, and I'm very excited to see how it performs with that, with the proper weight in there, because it's already performing really well in my opinion. Again, it's a little gassy, you know, but are you going to notice? If you're noticing those types of things, you're sitting there with a cigar and you're splitting hairs. You're not shooting and moving. Like, there's so much more that goes into shooting than just like the recoil impulse. But that's why we watch reviews. That's why we decide, because we want the best thing for the money. So again, I know we're talking specifically about Geisley. We talked about the Sig Spear and a few other things here, but really it's about the barrel length and the caliber more so than it is about the specific caliber. That's kind of, or the specific brand of upper we're talking about. That's really what I wanted to get across, is that I'm not sure that the extra inch is worth the extra weight, the extra length, especially not the extra money if you already have a 11.5. Now, if you have a 10.3, I'd say all day, I think the 11.5 is worth it. I think it is about, I mean, again, I don't want to speak too soon because I haven't chronoed it myself with my ammo and my uppers, but I think it is about 100 FPS difference in gained from that 1.3 inches or 1.2 inches you get from a 10.3 to an 11.5. So, but if you already have an 11.5 or if you already have a 12.5, like, is it worth it? I don't really think it matters that much. I think you can train with what you have, understand your holds, understand, you know, keep consistent ammo stocks and know what your holds are with that ammo, with your glass, with your reticle. I think all that stuff is way more important than that extra 58 FPS in my humble opinion. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I definitely want to hear your feedback on this, because this is something I'm struggling with myself, making a decision. But with that being said, I appreciate all you guys for staying to the end of the video. As I mentioned in previous videos, I am doing YouTube full time now. So if you do want to support the channel, I would greatly appreciate it if you check the link in the description. It'll give you all my affiliate links, all my discount codes, as well as a link to the website, rangedaybro.com, where you can pick up any merch. We have a new bestseller, the Gay TF Tyrant shirt. So I came up with that myself. At least I've been saying it for years. And I think it's, you know, everybody should have a chance to clown the ATF for how gay they are. So with that being said, be inclusive. Everybody should buy a shirt. Love you guys. Thank you so much for staying to the end of the video. Yeah, drink a lot of water. Christ is King. And until next time, see you guys soon. Appreciate it.